I don't think we can afford to take a very long time to trial and experiment with various approaches. I think we need to start making decisions about adopting and implementing approaches that we know work in the right circumstances. There's heaps of research. Look, if it's going to work in London, it's going to work in Melbourne and Sydney. It's very simple, really. We just have to do it. There's far too much political caution, and I'm talking about all political leaders, not just parliamentarians and heads of departments, also Aboriginal leaders, all kinds of community leaders. Need to stop worrying about what people will think of them. You know, it's not being a wowser or a right-winger to be concerned about public health, to be concerned about family violence, to be concerned about the fate of children in the homes of super drug users. So if we can adopt safety belts in cars, stop selling tobacco to minors and reduce tobacco use in the way that we have, we can do the same with drug use and alcohol use. It's just a matter of political will.
And is that what you think about the recommendations too? I mean, I've read so many the inquiry into ICE, the fly-in, fly-out worker inquiry into methamphetamine in Western Australia. All of these recommendations just sit on shelves and they don't do anything. I mean, as someone who has worked on royal commissions, I mean, what do you say to that? I mean, it just seems so counterproductive that experts like you get to work on royal commissions and then the very people who are supposed to implement them won't implement them.
That's right. So people who have the responsibility of making the decisions to implement the recommendations of royal commissions and inquiries are a bit like, Donald Trump. So Donald Trump is on the herd immunity side of the argument about COVID-19. In other words, he's advocating letting hundreds of thousands, possibly of millions of people die because he doesn't want to suffer the impact of restrictions on the economy. And, you can see various commentators arguing for herd immunity without any regard for the morality of that position, because the herd immunity argument that's being wheeled out by people who use it to justify removing restrictions to save the economy will necessarily involve, if it were implemented, the deaths of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. It's a very apt analogy for why people are not making the right decisions about implementing all of these recommendations. They don't want to suffer the economic impacts of restricting ICE use among fly-in, fly-out workers, because then the companies won't get their workers. If the workers are going to be randomly tested on a regular basis and have to stay clean, they'll go and find another job, or they'll work for another company, or they'll work in another state where there aren't such restrictions. People, can't afford to lose that workforce if they're running a company that relies on a fly-in, fly-out workforce. So there's a high level of tolerance for that kind of drug use in companies that are not concerned about the public good. And they're very clever at hiding the actual, financial business management reasons that they're actually applying to the problem. And the same goes for governments. Governments don't want to lose the income from alcohol because alcohol is, I've got to tell you straight up, a tourist attraction. So people are making economic decisions rather than public health decisions. I think the social services of Australia really need to get cracking and stop being libertarians about this issue. You can draw a straight line between the tolerance of alcohol and drug use amongst our decision makers and youth suicide, child abuse, family violence. All of these impacts are tolerated because of economic decisions that are being made.